Take, if you will, an island shrouded in mystery, filled with half-remembered buildings and half-constructed thoughts. Buried beneath the surface, there are secrets to find, and in plain sight there are puzzles to solve. But what knowledge you take with you, and what explanation you find, that will only be your own. The Witness is a puzzle-adventure game where you play as a nameless individual on a mysterious island. As you explore, you discover that you are alone. However, the island itself is filled with signs of habitation as well as workshops scattered around various locations. In order to progress into new areas, you'll have to find a variety of doors and barriers that have been sealed with special puzzle locks. Solving these will allow you to open the way and continue your exploration. The game, such as it is extremely non-linear. After you make it out of the introductory area, you're free to travel about the island as you wish, and the island itself comprises several square kilometers. Navigation is eased somewhat by the fact that the island is broken up into several distinct areas, each with its own visual style to help set it apart from the others. Each of the areas also contains an unusual device, which, when activated, points the way to deeper mysteries on the island. Now, in order to even approach the device, you'll first have to solve a series of puzzles in order to remove whatever barriers may be in place. As for the puzzles themselves, well, they all have the same basic format of a simple maze puzzle where you must trace a line from the start location to the end location. Doing so successfully will open or activate whatever door or device the puzzle itself is attached to. At first, these puzzles can be solved through patient trial and error, but as you progress, the complexity increases. Different areas of the game have different rules that apply specifically to the puzzles in those areas. For example, the puzzles inside of an artist's studio may have solutions based on symmetry. The puzzles in a flower garden may have solutions based on color, and the puzzles in a deep jungle wood area may have solutions based on sound or shadow. The format of the puzzles, the simple maze that you follow from beginning to end, that stays the same, but the rules on how you complete the maze, well, that changes constantly. And at this point, I should bring up one of The Witness's most striking features, that not only is the game non-linear, where you can explore whatever locations you want in whichever order you please, but the game also has an extremely minimalist design. In fact, minimalist might not even be the right word for it. The game has no text. The game has no tutorials. The game has only 2 button prompts, one telling you to move with the keyboard and another telling you to interact with the mouse. And that's it. And in particular, there is no instruction for solving the puzzles beyond the puzzles themselves. And really think about that, because it's something that's very hard to understand without directly experiencing. That as soon as you come to a new area, all of the puzzles have completely different solutions from the ones you're used to. And the only way you learn these solutions is by first solving minor puzzles that have almost obvious answers and then steadily moving on to more complicated versions. Which, hoo boy, in terms of game design, that's riding the razor's edge between ingenious and maddening. And what's impressive is that it actually does work. You can solve this entire game without ever once being explicitly told what to do. Although, it does require a fair measure of determination on the part of the player. I myself made the unintentional mistake of taking a break while I was playing The Witness, and in the intervening weeks I actually forgot how many of the puzzles worked. So, when I finally started playing again, I actually had to go back to previous areas so that I could relearn how to solve the puzzles. So what are the good and bad qualities of The Witness? Well, on a technical level, it's very streamlined. Interacting with puzzles is simple and intuitive, and there's barely an interface to get in the way. The game also has a strong visual aesthetic. The game does a good job of clearly demarcating different areas of the map, using simple visual cues as well as distinctive color palettes. But really, the greatest strength of The Witness, as well as its greatest potential weakness, is the puzzles themselves. Because the game has hundreds of these maze puzzles, and at first that seems like it would be rather tedious, but the game also has a huge variety that once you start exploring, you see there's actually numerous ways to solve these puzzles. And that helps alleviate much of the potential boredom. But at the same time, the lack of tutorials means that your exploration can be restrained or even blocked entirely if, during your experimentations, you don't make the intuitive leap needed to understand how to solve a specific set of puzzles. I mean, this is not a game where you can brute force your way to success in any reasonable time frame. I myself got stuck in one particular area for hours simply because I wasn't looking at the puzzles the right way. And that's very frustrating. And it doesn't help in the last quarter of the game, where in order to increase difficulty, the developers just start throwing every conceivable obstacle they can come up with in your way. Up to and including literally just taking the puzzles and spinning them around. Seriously, what is going on here? Are you trying to give me a seizure? Ultimately, the bottom line is The Witness is a very clear example of something that you only see in video games, which is a wall of progression. That, unlike other media, in a video game, it's possible to get to a point where a single obstacle can prevent you from playing any more of the game. That no matter how patient you are, no matter how much you experiment, no matter how many times you attempt it, until you figure out the rules for overcoming that obstacle, you're not getting past that point. And in a game like The Witness, where there are so many puzzles of so many different types, your chances of running into that wall are very high. And yet, damn it all, this is also one of the only games I've ever played where you can get that sensation of legitimate revelation. When you get to that point where, after who knows how long just staring at a puzzle and working it over in your mind, you finally understand it, almost implicitly, and the solution just comes to you. And after that moment, with that knowledge, the entire world looks completely different. And that's something that you can also only really get in a video game. To conclude, I would probably give The Witness 3 out of 4 stars. It's phenomenally frustrating, but tremendously exciting in the way that only the greatest of puzzle games possibly can be. But would I recommend it? I don't know. I just don't know. Like I said before, the game is an entire island full of hundreds of puzzles with no explanation. As a gamer, that you should probably know already whether that's the sort of thing that you're interested in or not. I myself did enjoy it, but I could never recommend it to someone who wasn't acquiescent to long periods of staring at your screen while you try and work through the solutions. If you are interested, keep in mind the frustrations are many, and the thrill of discovery is often the reward itself. Alright, well, thanks for listening. Till next time, don't let too many of your problems pile up at once.